Hi, this is Ilya from Gamechanger Audio. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the plasma rack and all of its features. First, let's take a look at the plasma rack's front panel controls. If you've noticed, currently the EQ section has no effect on the dry signal. To turn the EQ section on for both dry and wet signals, press Clean EQ. Clean Gate gives you a way to apply the plasma tube's gating effect without blending in any of the wet, distorted signal. By reducing the voltage, the gating effect becomes more pronounced. Here's a metal riff through the plasma rack. voltage is turned down, we get a lot of texture, but the sound is barely holding together. The sustain button turns on a built-in compression engine to beef up the sound even at low voltages. Let's take a look at the oversaturation mode. Turn on the plasma tube. Oversaturation adds a lot of harmonic content to the sound. As I increase the voltage, the oversaturation effect becomes more pronounced. You can also blend in some dry signal, either clean or with a different distortion on it. Let's take a look at the oversaturation mode using a live instrument. Adjust the gain. Now, let's listen to the plasma tube. Turn on oversaturation. With a high voltage setting, the effect is very pronounced. Here's a simple snare sound, and here it is with the blend control all the way up. Reducing the voltage makes it more punchy. And you can already use the sound blended with the dry signal. With sustain on, the snare becomes more compressed. At higher voltages, even more compression. Now let's add oversaturation. The plasma rack features a built-in tremolo section. The tremolo is applied both to the wet and the dry signals together. Let's turn up the tremolo rate. around 12 o'clock, we're already approaching ring mod territory. The tremolo also has a depth control. When decreased to 0, the effect is no longer present. However, when turned to a negative value, the tremolo effect becomes out of phase. The dry and the wet signals change places rhythmically. Another interesting feature is the dynamic tremolo mode. Here I've set up a fast tremolo. In dynamic mode, the tremolo will only be applied to the chord's transients, the beginning of the chord. Turning down the depth knob, we're lowering the threshold. When the depth value is negative, the tremolo effect will only come out as the chord starts fading out. The Plasma Rack's Oversaturation mode works really well together with the tremolo section. Now the tremolo is in ring mod territory. Turn on dynamic mode to apply the ringing effect only to the chord's transients. Or only to the chord's trails. In this example, let's go crazy with a simple tom track. First, let's turn on the sustain. Add some tremolo. Oversaturation brings out a lot of harmonics. With dynamic mode, we can apply the tremolo only on the tom's trails. Let's turn up the tremolo rate. We can also use the clean gate mode and reduce the voltage. The tom track now sounds quite interesting. We can also apply the tremolo only on the tom's transients. Here we're going to use a basic synth loop. First, let's put it through the clean gate. Also, we can turn on the tremolo section. Turn on oversaturation and adjust the tremolo rate. Here we're listening to a snare drum with a reverb unit patched into the Plasma Rack's Effects Loop 1. Let's bring it up to line level. Effects Loop 1 affects only the dry signal. No reverb on the distorted wet signal. Let's reduce the voltage to get more punch. Now blend them together to get a great snare sound. Continuing with the same sample and reverb in Effects Loop 1. We don't need to mix it with any distortion if we don't want to. We can just use the clean gate function to give the snare an unusual gated reverb sound, based on the plasma tube's character. Here I've set up an octave up unit into Effects Loop 2, affecting only the wet signal before the plasma tube. Here's the fully wet signal. Now we can blend it with the unaffected dry signal. Here we have a delay unit patched into Effects Loop 3. It affects only the wet signal, and it is after the plasma tube. First, the dry unaffected sample, and now the wet signal with the delay. Now let's blend them together, and also let's turn on the Oversaturate function. And we get this sound. The delay trails are present only on the distorted half of the signal. Now, let's add some ring mod. The plasma rack features an expression pedal input on the back panel. By default, it is assigned to control the rate of the tremolo section. However, you can easily assign the expression input to any one of these rotary knobs. To do so, press and hold the pad button until it starts blinking. Now, choose any one of the knobs on the front panel. For example, let's use voltage, and turn it all the way down and then all the way up. Now, just press and hold the pad button, and the expression pedal input is reassigned to control the voltage knob. Or we can assign it to blend. Once again, press and hold pad until it starts blinking. Turn the blend knob all the way down and then all the way up, and save by holding the pad button until it stops blinking. The plasma rack features 3 MIDI connectors, MIDI in, out, and through. It is fully compatible with all MIDI devices and MIDI applications, including sending continuous control messages or switching through MIDI presets with a foot controller. All parameters of the plasma rack can be changed with the continuous control messages, as well as can be saved on 8 individual MIDI preset slots. Here I've created some presets. My clean sound is on number 3. My tremolo sound is number 2. And my solo sound is on number 1. Let's go to preset number 3, create a new sound, and save it under slot number 4. For example, something like this. Short sustain. A lot of high frequencies, and reduce the lows. And maybe a ringing tremolo. To save the sound, I need to hold the MIDI button on the front panel until it starts blinking. As you can see, the power and the MIDI buttons are on, and the Plasma Rack's 8 preset slots are assigned through the 8 remaining front panel buttons. Effects Loop is preset number 1, Pad is number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So if we want to save this sound under preset slot number 4, I will simply press the MIDI button to scroll through the slots until I reach number 4, Dynamic. Now simply hold the MIDI button until it stops blinking, and the preset is saved under slot number 4. The Plasma Rack has a power button on the front panel, as well as a main switch on the backside. Let's say I want to use the clean EQ function for multiple sessions in a row. By default, every time I turn the device off and back on again, the clean EQ button will need to be reset manually. However, if I want to have the clean EQ function on every time, I can easily change the default state of this and all the other buttons on the front panel. To start, press Effects Loop line level and hold it until it starts blinking. Now I can set up the clean EQ, oversaturate, clean gate, and all the other buttons on the front panel to my desired default state. To save, simply press and hold the Effects Loop line level button until it stops blinking. What if, let's say, during a concert, the Plasma Rack's mains cable gets unplugged? As you can see, I've plugged the cable back in, but the unit doesn't power on. I still need to come over to the rack and manually switch it on. This can also be adjusted. While the rack is turned off, press and hold Dynamic together with Clean EQ until they start blinking. Now I can choose the default states of the On button, Effects Loop line level, and Pad. Let's configure the On button and the Pad button. To save, press and hold the Clean EQ button until it stops blinking. So now, as soon as I plug my mains cable back in, the rack turns on by itself and all the default button states are restored.